there because no one will look at me and mistake me for Walt Nauta. I guess that's how you say his name. Everyone's saying Nata, not Nata. I guess it could be Nata, but I look at Walt Nata, his name, and I kind of I I I make it just slightly more authentic. I think by saying Nauta because that would be the slowing down to get every syllable Nauta. But people would say Nata, that the anglicized Nata. People think I anglicize my name by saying Guillermo, but in fact, I slow down and get every syllable, right? Guillermo. As opposed to some people do it the Spanish way and say Guillermo, which is purely, a colonized move in my mind, honoring the colonizer. Guillermo. That's a colonizer. Now, if I was anglicizing it, I'd say Guillermo. And that's what Nata is. It's the Guillermoizing of Nauta, which is nada, which sounds like nada, which sounds like no, which is what Walt Nada should have said. He should have said no to Donald Trump. So, welcome to Emil Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. This is my micro talk show that I stream out live Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific live, with my specific target being Asian Americans, the AAPI and the AAXs, the Asian American X, fill in your ethnicity. I guess you could say Nauta from Guam is, well, he's a Pacific Islander, right? The Guamanians, he's an Asian American Pacific Islander. And you know that there are tons of Filipinos there. And also, the Chamorros are, it's a Chamorro Filipino mix over there in Guam. And you go there and everyone looks like me. So I feel for Waltine Noata because he is the only other person other than the former president who's been indicted. And I think by his actions, because right now, Nauta is in Bedminster reportedly. He's sticking tight with Trump. He's sticking tight with his guy. And I would just hope that he would have the good sense to not. I would hope that he would have the good sense to do what everyone who was brought up, say, at the January 6th hearings and was given defense counsel by Trump, I would hope he had the good sense to say, no, thank you, and get his own attorney and not have his fate tied into Trump's, because Trump, I mean, you're loyal to Trump. Who are you loyal to, or what are you loyal to? I'd be in fear of Walt Nauta, what they would do to him. I mean, Walt Nauta is the only other guy. He has incentive. He is motivated to say, I'm going to come to my senses and I'm going to talk. Give me immunity. Give me let's bargain. Let's plea bargain. I'm an innocent guy. I'm a Navy valet who was lucky enough to get a job in the White House. I mean, White House steward, that's like a big time deal. You talk about Asian Americans in the White House, we've been there. We've been cooks, we've been valets, we've been stewards. Ask Monica Lewinsky. Ask Bill Clinton about the Filipino steward. Bayani Nelvis. He was mentioned in the Star Report. I mean, Asian Americans are all over the White House, but in in the upstairs, downstairs aspect of the White House. And Bayani Nelvis in the Clinton Lewinsky thing didn't get hurt. He is mentioned in the Star Report. But Waltin Nauta is getting hurt. He was indicted for doing what kind of is natural if you're an Asian American who served in the Navy, who had the privilege of working with the commander-in-chief. Unfortunately, he was cursed for having worked for maybe the worst commander-in-chief in American history. Because, well, Nauta, if you are banking on the loyalty to Trump paying off, please take heed. Look at the people who, Cassidy Hutchinson, right? She had a Trump lawyer. She realized that, that was going nowhere. They were not going to protect her. She got her own attorney. She put on the white suit. She's the star of the January 6th hearings. She came forward. She defended her country. She defended democracy. She spoke out and spoke the truth, which fortunately did not help Donald Trump. And that's what I hope Walt Nauta, his lawyers are talking. He's not talking. I would hope that Walt Nauta is lawyered up with non-Trump lawyers. I hope he makes a deal. I hope he makes a deal that helps him. Because here's what could happen. He's up in Bedminster, right? Where Trump is at his golf course there. And it's a little too cozy a situation. I'm afraid for Walt Nauta because Trump's smiling now, but just wait. Just wait. Push comes to shove. What does Walt Nauta become? Oh, he's the valet. He's the Diet Coke boy. He's the scapegoat. That's what I fear for Walt Nauta. And it's sad. It's sad, but that I mean, everyone's talking about Trump, and look, and as they should. This is an historic day. The indictments are out. More than 30 indictments. The most damning things are the pictures. I mean, look, legalese is important, right? You got to have the lawyers fight in court. Trump's going to be helped somewhat because he's going to have Aileen Cannon, that judge who showed a lot of incompetence in early procedural matters on this case, and then had an appeals court overturn some of her rulings. So Trump's going to have her as a judge, and it's going to be Miami. I mean, all this, the change in venue from Washington to Miami was critical because they wanted to show, or they wanted to prove this is not a political thing. And there was Jack Smith today who, I mean, I thought it was important that Jack Smith get out there. He's the prosecutor. Important that he go out there. I'll get to his words today, but they're important. So we got, Walt Nauta. He's going to get, I'm just afraid for him. And he sounds like he's just trying to be a loyal. I'm just doing what I say. I know what that mindset is. I'm Filipino American. My father was just like Walt Nauta in the service trades. Didn't go into the Navy. Wasn't fortunate to go into the Navy, but he worked. He came across on a boat as a colonized American to San Francisco, worked in the restaurant trades, service worker. Actually, more in the pantry. He was cooking, making desserts, salads, pantry stuff. Ice sculpture, which is good because you had an ice pick, which you can use as a weapon against people who come after you. Walter Nauta. My dad, I see Asian American face. I see Walter Nauta. Get a lawyer. Get your own non-Trump lawyer. I hope it's a non-Trump lawyer. Now, the best story out there is by Perry Stein and Spencer Sue in the Washington Post. And they talk about Nauta and they show Nauta. Thank goodness, no one's going to mistake me. I mean, if you've seen the picture of Nauta, he usually wears a cap. But he's like, shaved head, cool guy. No Emil Guillermo, head of hair. But he's brown, Guamanian origin. I'm sure Nauta, he's got mixed Chamorro Filipino roots. Guamanian, right? Story in the Post. Personal aide faces, that's a nice word for it. Valet, man boy, manservant, houseboy, if you want to be derogatory. Personal aide, euphemism for I'm your guy. He's like sub Robin. There's Batman and Robin, and then he's sub Robin. Personal aide faces 6 counts for allegedly conspiring with and helping Trump hide records from Trump's attorney, the FBI, and a grand jury, and lying about it. That's probably going to be the thing, right? It's always the cover-up. It's always the lie. You might get off on the technicality of the actual action, but in the end, if they're also including lying, then that's Walt Nauta to get your own attorney. This is the best story about Nauta because it has personal things about Nauta. Federal authorities have charged a longtime aide to Donald Trump, whose responsibilities include moving and carrying cardboard boxes in which the former president likes to keep mementos and papers. So, a lot of people just dismiss, he's just the guy carrying the boxes. There's a kind of innocence there, right? And it might be. But you wait. When push comes to shove, Trump will make it seem like, no, Walt was in it. Walt was in there with me. Prosecutors have viewed Walt Nauta, a military valet in the Trump White House and now a personal aide to the former president, as a critical witness in the investigation into possible mishandling of classified government materials at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's Florida residence and private club. See, he's the key witness. Without Walt Nauta, Trump would rather have him silenced, right? Because then Trump figures, I can explain away documents in the ballroom. I can explain away boxes next to a toilet and a shower and a bathroom. I can explain away spilled over papers in a room. I could explain away me talking about General Milley and some top secret document. I can explain all that away. Well, let's see him. But as soon as you bring in another human being like Walt Nauta, no wonder Walt Nauta is close in Bedminster to Donald Trump today. I'd say, Walt, you need to go take a vacation. You need to go separate yourself from Donald Trump. On Friday, a 49-page indictment was unsealed charging the Navy veteran. Thank you for your service. He's a Navy veteran. You can't blame Walt Nauta. 6 criminal counts they're charging him with, alleging that he conspired with and helped the former president hide his unlawful retained classified documents from Trump's attorney, the FBI, and grand jury, and lying about it. The offenses are punishable by up to 20 years in prison. Man, that's longer than he worked for Trump. That's not fair. An attorney for Nauta declined to comment. Yeah, I hope the attorney for Nauta really is an attorney for Nauta and not for Donald Trump. Nauta was charged alongside Trump on 5 of the counts. So Trump and Nauta, that's like That's a duo with no do-over. The former president was charged with 37 of 38 counts of the overall indictment, on counts including conspiring to obstruct justice, willful retention of national security information, and false statements. I have just learned that the thugs from the Department of Justice will be indicting a wonderful man, Walt Nauta, a member of the U.S. Navy who served proudly with me in the White House, retired as senior chief, and then transitioned into private life as a personal aide, Trump wrote on Truth Social on Friday morning, this morning, disclosing the news hours before the official court unsealing of charges. See, this is Trump using Nauta as human shield. This is Trump saying, "Hey, look, here's my Navy guy. He's my guy, senior chief. That's who gets those ensign assignments." And then when Trump left, Nauta followed because there was that bond. That's what happens when you bring a guy his Diet Cokes. And frankly, Nauta, look, under any other commander-in-chief, this would be a great gig. This is how Filipinos have been, Asian Americans have been in the White House. The steward, the valet. Walt Nauta is like, he's like a model for Asian Americans. You want to go to the White House? Go through the Navy, enlist, ensign, chief ensign. That's the top rank. You become steward, senior chief, work in the White House. Road to success for many. Nauta was with the former president in New Jersey on Friday morning as the news broke, and said a person who was also with the two at Trump's Bedminster Club. When first questioned by FBI agents in the spring of 2022, Nauta denied any knowledge that sensitive documents are being stored at Trump's club, the Washington Post has reported. The first denial. See, it's kind of biblical. I didn't see no documents. I don't know documents. But when questioned a second time, he told investigators that he had moved boxes at Trump's direction after prosecutors sent a subpoena seeking the return of all documents marked classified and kept at Mar-a-Lago. The indictment paints a detailed portrait of Nauta's involvement. I mean, this is the human story in the indictment. It's not Trump and Trump, playing around with these documents. It's Nauta. It's Nauta's story, aka Walt Nada, who's becoming Walt Nada. We're going to try. You got to personalize. You humanize Nauta. He's just doing his job. He was among employees who packed up Trump's papers at the White House and followed him to Mar-a-Lago. On December 7th, 2021, there's a date, December 7th, Nauta opened a storage room door there and found several of Trump's boxes toppled over with their contents spilled on the floor, including a document marked secret and releasable only to 5 U.S. allies. This is the big deal, right? I mean, these were, this wasn't just copies of his kids' report cards, pictures of Ivanka playing soccer. These were top secret documents. 5 allies. Nauta took a photo, shared it with another employee with classified information visible. He shouldn't have done that. Between November 2021 and November 2022, Trump had Nauta and a second employee bring boxes from the storage room to his residence for his review. I just do what I'm told, right? I mean, Trump's directing Nauta, sounds kind of innocent so far, but he did some things wrong. Like he should have known. He saw something secret. Something was up. Other Trump employees said Trump was reviewing them under pressure to belatedly return government records to the National Archives and Records Administration. And Nauta discussed with some of them how Trump was tracking the boxes and wanted new box lids because he had written too much on them. Oh, well. See, the papers are secret, but the note-taking of the chief executive, who's now no longer chief executive, are on the lids of boxes, and that's not secret. Oh, it's an unofficial official response. So how can it be secret? So I can hear Trump say, "So get me for the papers inside, but the lids. I'm innocent on the box lids." The indictment said Nauta then moved 15 boxes in his vehicle for return delivery to NARA, the archives. But when questioned by the FBI later, he allegedly made 3 false statements, including by saying he was, quote, not aware of Trump's boxes being brought to Trump's residence for his review before their return to the archives. Okay, he knew it. Got him cold, got him red-handed. And he also said that he didn't know how boxes that he moved for delivery to NARA had gotten to the residence. Oh, I drove them there. In a voluntary interview with the FBI on May 26, 2022, Nauta was asked whether he knew where the boxes had been stored prior to before being moved to Trump's residence and whether they were secure. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I honestly just don't know, Nauta said, according to the indictment. Okay, is that the second lie? We need 3 to be biblical. The indictment also charges that Nauta was also involved in helping Trump mislead attorney Evan Corcoran, identified in papers as Trump Attorney 1, who was trying to ensure Trump's compliance with a May 2022 grand jury subpoena to return sensitive government records as part of a criminal investigation. Between a May 23, 2022 meeting between Trump and his attorneys and June 2nd, when Corcoran was told to review documents in the storage room, Nauta removed 64 boxes and delivered them to Trump's residential area, according to charging papers. But before June 2nd, Nauta only moved 30 boxes into the storage room, prosecutors said, and neither Trump nor Nauta told Corcoran that boxes had to be removed or had been removed. So 30 instead of 64. Nauta, whose full name is Waltine, continued to work and travel with Trump throughout the long-running investigation. Nauta was known in the White House for his quiet, on-the-job demeanor and ability to stay out of messy internal and partisan squabbling, several colleagues told the Post earlier this year. Emblematic of a military guy, right? Quiet on the job demeanor. I'm just doing my job. I do what I'm told. I'm in the military. I stay out of messy things. When you're a White House steward, I'm sure that's why Trump liked him. Several colleagues told the Post about that. Nauta frequently traveled with Trump to his homes at Mar-a-Lago and Bedminster, New Jersey, learning his boss's rhythms and catering to his daily needs. This is a guy who was man boy, manservant, valet, trusted. But to the end, I know he's the only witness. He's motivated. The motivation's there for him to flip on Trump, and maybe that's why Trump's taking care of him. Look, I'll take care of you. You'll be good. Stick with me, kid. I'm going to be president. We'll make you head of the EPA. EPA sound good? Make you head of the EPA. We'll make you head of, I don't know, tourism. Want to be head of tourism? I'm just saying, Trump is priming Nauta, it sounds like. Nauta needs to hear from friends and family and relatives, people who love him. In an interview in Guam, where Nauta was born and grew up, his aunt said he has conveyed to family that he was following directions when he moved the boxes at Mar-a-Lago. Quote, he told his mom there's nothing to worry about. He didn't do anything wrong. All he was instructed was to put the boxes where they were supposed to go, said Eli Nauta, who lives two doors down from Nauta's mother. So, story by Perry Stein, covers the Justice Department for the Post, and Spencer Sue. Investigative reporter, two-time Pulitzer finalist, National Emmy Award nominee. Good story. More thorough than Maggie Haberman's over at the Times. And really, it humanizes Nauta to the point where you see where the only person who is identified in the indictments, Nauta, how critical he is to Trump. So Trump is being nice to him, but someone should be nice to Nauta and say, you know, Trump will sell you down the river in a second. Watch out. Watch out, Walt. Watch out, Waltine. The question, should Waltine flip? Yeah, I think he should. Because here's what Trump is going to rely on. Trump's running for president. Waltine Nauta is not. Trump is hoping for someone in the grand jury or in the jury to, you know, he's hung jury. They don't want a unanimous verdict. They don't think a unanimous verdict against Trump is possible in Florida. That's Trump's home, right? So hung jury, or here's another Asian American. Well, he said it. Vivek Ramaswamy, running for president, has said, hey, Trump wants a pardon. Trump, if I'm elected president, Vivek Ramaswamy, Asian American, I will pardon you. Everyone is doing a play. If you're running for president on the Republican side, everyone seems to be doing a play for those Trump voters. Oh, I like Vivek. He's going to pardon Trump, but he's going to condemn Waltine Nauta to hell. That sounds about right. I mean, no one's talking out for Waltine Nauta. I am. Emil Guillermo. Walt, get an attorney. Get a better one. Do a Cassidy Hutchinson thing. All right, that's her name, Cassidy. You got to follow her. Follow her example. She realized she was really alone when she had the Trump attorney and the Trump defense, and she found her peace with the truth when she got her attorney. If you play silent Asian American to the hilt, follow your boss. Look, this is the thing about politics. There is no business like politics where the term boss has so much meaning. I mean, I was in politics for a while. Boss. When you have a boss in politics, you have a boss. And that's bad if your boss is not good. Waltine knows his boss is not good. So, Nauta, Waltine, should he flip? Most definitely. Because don't think for a second, Waltine Nauta, if the shoe, as it were on the other foot. Don't think for a second Trump would show you any loyalty at all. Not at all. So I just hope that Waltine Nauta gets smart, gets his own attorney. I mean, a non-Trump attorney, a non-bought for Trump attorney, before he turns into Donald Trump's scapegoat. So, there are other aspects of this case. What does an Asian American think? I'll write it all on the ALDEF blog, aaldef.org/blog. I want to think about it a little more, but the basic one is Asian Americans know what it's like to be accused of espionage. Asian Americans know what it's like to be looked at and to be thought to be disloyal to our country. Look at any Asian American scientist at a major lab, university. How have they been treated? How their lives have been destroyed because they had Chinese names, Asian names, and the charges fly that, spy in our midst. Happens all the time. I mean, we know the seriousness of that. But what prevents the seriousness being, brought in this case? I mean, it is, clearly now it is. But what you're seeing is a kind of white privilege, white executive privilege that, if Asian Americans had that kind of, received that kind of pass, any number of lives would not have been destroyed. Because, when you are singled out as a scientist and thought to be passing documents or thought to be some kind of threat or thought to be, threat to national security. I mean, go back to Wenho Lee, the Wenho Lee case, when the flimsiest of reasons, were used to put Wenho Lee in jail. Solitary confinement. And then later when they realize, we made a mistake. And it wasn't just the legal system that made a mistake. It was the press, the media. The media, most notably the New York Times and their own mea culpa, different generation of timesmen there, but the New York Times folks were behind that. And everyone just sort of jumped on the bandwagon. So look, I know that the media is not perfect, but man, Trump has been existing on privilege. Doesn't deserve it. But like I said, what does an Asian American think about this? Asian Americans who are scientists, Asian Americans who have been looked upon with, askance because, they have Asian names, suspected of dealing with the enemy suspected of spying, espionage. I imagine there's more than one Asian American who is thinking about that as the news of the indictments come trickling down from yesterday to today. I'm telling you, it's they weren't going to unseal the documents. They finally did. It's actually good they did. And actually it's good because the narrative, who's controlling the narrative, right? For a long time, it's for the last 20 hours or so, it's been Donald Trump, right? Truth Social, he says what he does. He puts out his video. He says, I'm innocent, etc. It's a witch hunt. He's controlling a narrative, but you got the goods. You don't have to listen to his narrative. There's the evidence. And so all Jack Smith, the prosecutor, had to do is say, well, let's unseal him. Let's give it the light of day. And it's astonishing. This is what the President of the United States, the former president, I mean, no one's ever done this to America. Everyone has had, I mean, even the worst have had more respect for America than this former president has shown. And there are tapes, the tapes that CNN found or that released this morning. I mean, that's where Donald Trump pretty much knows that he's dealing with secret documents. It's just, what kind of defense do you have? Well, that's the tape. I'm the human being. Ask me, I didn't do it. Or the tape did it. How do you get around something like? I mean, people are reluctant to say, "Oh, here's the smoking gun," but the only thing that will save Donald Trump is if all of America has successfully graduated from the Donald Trump gaslighting school of reality, which he has enrolled us all in for the last 6 or so years. And if we were dutifully good students, we would say, yeah, Donald, anything you want. But if we were, bad students who questioned and were skeptical and say, you're full of it, Donald. Yeah. But why is it I get this feeling, especially when I hear from people who should know better, like the leaders of the GOP, like Kevin McCarthy of California, who today said something outrageous like, this indictment is disruptive to our democracy. Disruptive to our democracy. Donald Trump is disruptive to our democracy. And this is why I think every Republican, I think the Republican Party needs to separate into the third of it that will go down to the fire pits of hell with Donald Trump. I mean, they will just follow him no matter what. That's a third of the Republican Party. Then the other 2/3 should just stand up and say, no, we're the new pro-democracy Republicans. That's what we need. We need pro-democracy Republicans. Because Kevin McCarthy and all those, DeSantis, all those who are saying, oh, well, this is the weaponizing of the government against a rival. Donald Trump is running he's a rival. No, Donald Trump is a man who used to be president who has no business being president again. And by his actions over the documents case in Mar-a-Lago, certainly has no no reason to be president. Again, he is not qualified. He cannot lead. This is not a man for our democracy. And yet, Kevin McCarthy, oh, poor Donald Trump, he's a victim. And by the way, I hope you've given money to the Trump campaign, because this is what these setbacks are for, to raise money. And there are people who just believe it. And that's why, take a look at those photographs, the ballroom, the boxes. I know it makes hoarders like me feel very bad. If you have things stored in your bathroom, do not let that be an empathetic cord that aligns you with Trump. Yeah, I got stuff stored in my bathroom, but no, that was wrong to have top secret documents there. I'm just saying, look at the evidence, look at that indictment, and know that the goods are there. This is not a political vendetta. This is not a deep state function. This is not a matter of Donald Trump, the victim. This is a matter of a grand jury in the Southern District of Florida finding reason to indict the former president of the United States. It was Jack Smith today. Jack, the prosecutor, and he played it just right. He got up in front. He said this.
Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice.
So, felony violations. That's for real. Felony violations. This is not tap on the wrist time. This is real jail time.
This indictment was voted by a grand jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida.
Citizens, he said. Southern District, not people with green, citizens. Keep that in mind.
And I invite everyone to read it in full, to understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged. The men and women of the United States intelligence community and our armed forces dedicate their lives to protecting our nation and its people. Our laws that protect national defense information are critical to the safety and security of the United States, and they must be enforced. Violations of those laws put our country at risk. Adherence to the rule of law is a bedrock principle of the Department of Justice, and our nation's commitment to the rule of law sets an example for the world.
And that really is it. You think, hey, Donald Trump's got some paperwork. He's got a paperwork issue. He's got some boxes in a ballroom, standing on a stage, waiting for a performance. I don't know. They're just sitting there. He's got some boxes in the bathroom. He's got some spilled over in some closet. But Jack Smith just said it there. This is a for real thing. The men and women of the United States intelligence community and our armed forces dedicate their lives to protecting our nation and its people. And there are laws that protect national defense information. They're critical to the safety and security of the United States. And you can see from those boxes, the pictures, the photographs, the allegations are real. You want to say, well, what's the harm? Harm is to the people who are protecting our country. Harm is to our men and women who serve in the military, the armed forces. So don't think for a second that this is just some, box problem. Get the man a U-Haul. Get this man a storage locker. This is not about that. This is a for real thing. There are top secret documents there. This is why they're serious felonies, and Trump could be facing a lot of jail time, which is why I'm sure he's hoping that, yeah, all right, well, maybe I'll lose, but the next president could be a Republican. He'll have to pardon me, right? Because I'll be in jail saying, you better vote for this guy. And the third of the Republicans who are anti-democracy Republicans, they'll vote him in. What a mess. What a mess. But there's only one way out, and that's just to face it. Let's hope for a speedy trial. This thing goes to, I guess the first court appearance is on Tuesday, they say. And now, see, they dumped the news on Friday. Everyone's in a kind of a, oh, it's almost summer, or summer's here, or you've got orange air. The air is no longer orange. Still pretty bad. They say it's better now in New York, but it's going to get worse apparently. So they might still cancel the Belmont Stakes, which is what PETA's hoping for. But, people are like onto the weekend, and this news is being dumped. I hope heed what Jack Smith, the prosecutor, said. Take a look at the indictment. I'll roll over or repeat this show 357. But this is for real. Trump and Nauta indicted. And look for my piece on what does an Asian American think, because it goes, it's as I said about this, the Asians who've been suspected of spying. They would never have gotten the free pass of 18 months or so that Donald Trump did for his mishandling of top secret documents. I mean, that was a form of executive privilege. They didn't go after him, but they went after him methodically in this investigation. And now we see the work of Jack Smith, and we'll see the work on the part of the prosecutor in court. Trump will be aided by this Aileen Cannon, who had to be overruled by an appeals court because she made a wrong ruling in favor of Trump early on in the case last year. And so I just think this will be critical. We should pay attention. And once again, add another notch on the belt of Donald Trump. I mean, in terms of his criminality, how many more examples do you need to let you know that Trump is not qualified for office in the United States? I mean, I keep asking my friends, people I know who voted for Trump, I say, now do you see through the BS? And now do you want to ask me about Hillary's emails? Do you want to ask me about, I'm talking about smart people too, right? They should know better. They should see through the locker up and the Hillary emails and Hunter laptop and all that stuff. This is Trump caught red-handed. And he's still innocent until proven guilty. We got beyond a reasonable doubt. We got, the highest standard. But you look at the pattern of Donald Trump, you look at how his businesses conducted themselves. You look at the people who've already associated with Trump have already spent time in jail. Right? His guy who was running his business. You got Michael Cohen. Everyone has. Trump is bad news. And now all of America, if you insist on him as commander-in-chief, we're going down that bad path. And Asian Americans, Walt Nauta is every Asian American who was a Trump voter who still, even after all this, even after the court case where Trump was liable for the rape of E. Jean Carroll. It's after the indictments in New York. This is federal. You turn to them and say, now do you dump him? And they're still with him. And so if that's you as an Asian American who support Trump, just look into the eyes of Walt Nauta. That's you. That is you. Loyal to the end. And apparently, I don't know. I hope he flips, but he looks like he's with Trump today in Westminster or Bedminster. And looks like he is going to be a loyalist through and through. He's denying everything, at least in secondhand conversation with people he's talked to in Guam and some people here in the U.S., but his lawyer says nothing. And I hope his lawyer isn't paid for by Trump. I hope Nauta has his own lawyer. So we'll see. The unfortunate thing about all this is that it just blew out of the water the big story about the Supreme Court. And if you go to the ALDEF website, I've been dreading all week about the Supreme Court decision on affirmative action or what is forthcoming. And everyone thinks it's going to be bad. And I think it's going to be bad too. And there was just a sense of dread until yesterday when the court kind of surprised everyone and came out with a ruling that was positive for civil rights. I mean, the New York Times headline is, "In turnabout, court rules map denied black voters." Oh, the Voting Rights Act works. I mean, the Supreme Court has spent most of its time trying to neuter the Voting Rights Act. And here they said, oh, yeah, well, I think black votes were denied when the maps were rigged. They got to do them again. Oh, I mean, really? I think it stunned everyone yesterday. And it was instead of a 6-3 conservative court, it was a 5-4 court with Justices Roberts and Kavanaugh joining the three ladies, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. 5-4. Could that be the 5-4 that's going to change our attitude toward how the Supreme Court might rule on affirmative action? I don't know. I mean, I talked to some people. I mean, look, even the Wall Street Journal put it down. Bottom of the fold. Alabama map opposed by black voters blocked. Alabama map opposed by black voters blocked. So a map that was bad, that blacks opposed, the Supreme Court blocked it. That was seen. That's how the Wall Street Journal put it. But the New York Times put it, in turnabout, court rules map denied black voters. That's more clear. But anyway, yeah, I don't know if the 5-4 is a temporary thing, if it's just a tease because the Supreme Court knows that it's going to come down hard on affirmative action, or that's the feeling. I just think that no one knows, and I'm not going to play into the, this is the Supreme Court doing a different version of splitting the baby, like they're going to be liberal on these issues and conservative on these issues in terms of race. So I'm not going to be toyed with by the Supreme Court. I'm just going to wait to see. But believe me, I have this dread, and they may put the opinion out next week, but I put down my feelings about how I feel about affirmative action because it's been more important than people let on to people of color. I know a lot of people say, you ask people about affirmative action, they'll say, you can't be for affirmative action. That's not good. Oh, yeah, no, wait a minute. That's good. I mean, somehow it became negative. It shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been negative. Anyway, I'll talk about that next week. We'll see what happens. Replay the show. This is show 537. This is Emil Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. I talk about the news in a news talk way. You can't talk back to me. I mean, it's just the technology. You could send me an email, do something like that. But I'm here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific for a short time, and then, sometimes longer if there's stuff happening. But join us on Twitter at Emil Amok. You go by Twitter and say, oh, there he is. And then, or you go to YouTube at Emil Amok1, or you go to Facebook at emilguillermo.media. Thank you for joining me. Oh, replays on amok.com. More news coming out. Like I said, look for stuff on the ALDEF blog, aaldef.org/blog. All sorts of things coming up. Enjoy the weekend. Repeat the shows. See you on Monday. Emil Guillermo here. I like to meditate, and I always leave you with a little loving kindness because that's how the world goes. You show the love out to others, and it comes back to you. That's how it works. So, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal Kita.